If you want to join Princess Tiana on her Bayou adventure, for right now at least, you can't just walk up and get in line like you can for most every other attraction here at Walt Disney World. In today's video, we're going to go over all the different ways you can ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure and how all those different ways are about to change. If that all sounds a little bit complicated to you, don't worry. We're going to break it all down in this video and make it super simple so that when you're here at Walt Disney World, you'll know exactly how to ride. Let's go do it. Hi-ho everybody, this is Rob with the Ear Scouts coming to you from the opening weekend of Tiana's Bayou Adventure here at the Magic Kingdom. For everyone who's concerned about spoilers, do not worry, we're not going to share any of that until the end of this video, and we'll give you plenty of notice before we do, so you have time to click away and not see anything that's going to spoil your first ride. For the first few days of the attraction's opening, so Disney has not said when this is going to change. They just said for the initial days, there's going to be a virtual queue in place for this attraction. So that's how you have to ride right now if you don't want to pay to ride. Virtual queues have been in place for other attractions like Rise of the Resistance, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Tron. In fact, those last two, it is still in place. In this case, though, Disney says that they're not going to be keeping the virtual queue around for long. So we will actually put a note in the description down below. When this virtual queue goes away, we'll note it there. So before you come, check the description and see, is the virtual queue gone? Because if it is, the good news is you'll just be able to get in line for this ride like everything else. Later in this video, we're going to go over how you will join that virtual queue. But for right now, I want to talk about the other ways you're going to be able to ride this ride if you didn't want to deal with the virtual queue or the standby queue. My biggest tip, however, is to make sure that you do this attraction as early as you possibly can, especially if you only have one day here in Magic Kingdom. The reason for that is this attraction just opened, and whenever you have a ride as complex as this one, there's a lot of bugs that need to be worked out. It does go down a fair amount during the day. Now that has been getting better and better as we've gone to different previews. So Disney is definitely working out those bugs, but for right now, you're still going to want to probably prioritize this to make sure you're able to ride on your Magic Kingdom day. If you want to skip that virtual queue or standby queue, as of right now, you can do that using Disney Genie Plus. Disney Genie Plus is a service that you can add to your ticket when you're here at Walt Disney World. You pay per person per day for a whole bunch of different attractions across all 4 parks. If you're not familiar with Disney Genie Plus, we have a ton of videos on the subject, so you can go check those out over on our channel. However, the big news that was recently announced is that Disney Genie Plus is actually going away. Starting July 24th, there's going to be a brand new service called Lightning Lane. So there will be a multi-pass Lightning Lane and a single-pass Lightning Lane. Multi-pass is a lot like the current Disney Genie Plus, and that is the service you'll use to ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure. We're going to go over the details of how multi-pass looks like it's going to work. We don't have a lot of concrete things to show you because it hasn't rolled out yet, but we can show you what the process looks like using Disney Genie Plus. So if you're visiting between now and July 23rd, this is how you will book Tiana's Bayou Adventure with the Genie. I would recommend making Tiana's your first selection of the day, and I would recommend making that selection right at 7 a.m. on the dot. The reason I say that is because just yesterday, we were able to get a Lightning Lane by tapping in right at 7 a.m. on the dot, but just seconds later, they were showing not currently offered for the rest of the day. That's right. Every single initial Lightning Lane that was available from Disney was gone for this attraction in seconds. So I would definitely recommend you want to set your alarm a little bit before 7 a.m. to give yourself time to purchase Disney Genie Plus, set everything up, and book this ride right at 7 a.m. on the dot. Let's really quickly go over how you'll do that in case you've never used Disney Genie Plus before. You're going to start by going to that main menu, and there is a button in the upper right for Lightning Lanes. You're going to go ahead and tap on that button. You'll see at the top of what's called your tipboard screen the option to purchase Disney Genie Plus for the day. Go ahead and tap on that and make your purchase for Disney Genie Plus. I definitely recommend do this at least 15 minutes before 7 a.m. So around 6:45, go ahead and purchase Disney Genie Plus so you have it all set. Note as part of the purchasing process that you are going to choose the flavor of Disney Genie you want. Do you want it for a specific park or do you want it for all four? The good news is if you're getting it for Magic Kingdom, that's usually the same price as all four. So if you have a park hopper ticket, you might as well just get all four when you're here at Magic Kingdom. Now that Disney Genie is purchased, we want to go to that other tab that we saw on that Tipboard screen called My Day. This is where you're going to set up the free Disney Genie service. So this is basically like setting your preferences for Disney Genie Plus. It also helps you plan out your Disney World day. Over on that My Day tab, we're going to tap on the button that says Get Started Now. The first thing it's going to ask is what day it is, what park you're going to, and then it's going to ask who's coming with you. Make sure that you select everyone that you want to book that initial lightning lane for Tiana's Bayou Adventure at this stage. If you don't see everyone here, you're going to need to go to your profile and add them to your family and friends list. Also, make sure that everyone has a park ticket that is valid for Magic Kingdom on that day. If they have an annual pass or a ticket that requires park pass reservations, you are going to have to make that park pass reservation before they're going to show up here. In the next step, it's going to ask you what rides you're most interested in. What I recommend, only select Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Don't pick anything else because what this is going to do, it's going to pin whatever you pick here to the top of your Tipboard screen and make it really easy for you to just tap in and grab it. So we don't want a lot of things cluttering up the top of that view. We only want Tiana because that's what we're aiming for. After you do that, it's going to ask you if you have other interests, things like princesses and such. Again, just skip all that for right now, because that would add more things to the top of your Tipboard view. Now that everything's all set, let's go back to that Tipboard screen, refresh it, and you should see Tiana's Bayou Adventure pinned there to the top. You'll notice that there is a button grayed out saying that you can make your first Genie Plus selection starting at 7 a.m. Just before 7 a.m. on the dot, you want to take your finger, slide it down the screen to refresh the view, and just keep doing this repeatedly until it hits 7 o'clock, because at that moment, at that split second, it's probably going to take a second to process, but then that grayed out button is going to become clickable, and you'll be able to tap in and see what time you're able to get for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. For us, we had a pretty decent time. I was okay with it, so I went ahead and accepted that. But if you're not happy with the time that you see, don't worry, there is a way to improve it. We're going to do what I like to call playing the Disney Genie slots, and it's really easy to do. Head back to that Tipboard screen and you'll see your reservation there. There's 3 little dots in the corner. Tap on those 3 little dots and a menu's going to pop up. You're going to choose Modify Plan. Next, you're going to see a screen that looks a lot like that Tipboard screen, but now the ride you have booked is pinned to the top and it shows you the time that you have it booked for. Go ahead and tap into that ride and you will see the time that you could get it for right now. If you're not happy with that time, just tap back out and tap in again. Each time you do this, it's going to refresh the view, it's going to look for better return times, and it's always going to show you whatever is the best available time at that moment, i.e. the earliest available time. Keep repeating this process until you're happy with what you got. For us, we were able to back it up pretty quickly to 9:05, which was great. It is really important that you find a time that you're happy with as quickly as possible, because I'm telling you, within minutes, it became difficult to find any times at all for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. The good news, however, is that throughout the day, if Tiana's is running smoothly, they will continue to add in more and more of those lightning lanes. So just because it shows it's not currently offered doesn't mean it's not possible that it won't come back. So keep checking, keep refreshing the view. If you don't have the lightning lane booked, just keep Tiana pinned to the top so that every time you're looking at that Tipboard, you'll notice if it's come back online and you can tap in and grab it. You may have noticed that there's been no logs coming out of Tiana's Bayou Adventure since we've been talking this morning. That's because this attraction is down right now. I have good news though. If you had a Disney Genie Plus Lightning Lane for a period when this ride went down, you will get what Disney calls an experience redemption. Now that lets you tap in at a lot of rides. There'll be a list of them that you can see there, but one of them will always be the attraction that you got it for. In this case, I would not recommend using that experience redemption for anything other than Tiana's Bayou Adventure. So keep that in your back pocket. That does, however, free you up to book another Lightning Lane once it turns into an experience redemption, so you'll want to go ahead and do that right away. So that pretty much covers the ways that you're going to be able to ride right now. As we mentioned, the next change is probably going to be the removal of the virtual queue, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. And then starting July 24th, you're going to have a brand new system to learn called Lightning Lane Multipass and Lightning Lane Single Pass. We did a whole video all about what we know about that new system. We'll put a link to it in the description down below so that you can go check that out if you'd like. I'd recommend it because we get into a lot of the nitty-gritty that we wouldn't really have time to get into in this video, so definitely check that out if you're coming after July 24th. Unfortunately, I can't show you a screen recording of how you're going to use that new Lightning Lane service because it doesn't exist quite yet, but we do have some screenshots from Disney that are going to give us a little bit of an idea. If you're staying at a qualifying Disney Resort hotel, we'll put the list up on the screen right now. If you're at one of these hotels, you're going to be able to book your first Lightning Lanes starting at 7 a.m. 7 days before your check-in day. If you're not staying at one of these hotels, you'll get to make your first Lightning Lane selections 3 days before your visit, and you'll do that also at 7 a.m. or later. Do be aware if you're coming from an international destination, there are some slightly different things that you'll need to think about, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But for everyone else, however, whenever that window opens up for you, whether it's 3 days or 7 days out, you'll initially be able to book 3 Lightning Lanes. You'll be able to book 1 from what Disney calls Tier 1. Tiana is a Tier 1 attraction. You'll also be able to book 2 from Disney's Tier 2 list. I definitely recommend you're going to want to select Tiana as your Tier 1 selection as quickly as you possibly can. In this new Lightning Lane system, it is going to show you the times that you're able to get before you even purchase. So once you make those selections on the next screen, it's going to show you what time it was able to grab for you. If you're not happy with that time, it looks like there's going to be a button there that's going to let you change that time. I'm guessing this is going to work a lot like what we just showed you with Disney Genie Plus, so it's probably going to be very similar. Once you're happy with the time that you've gotten, you can go ahead and purchase the system and have that time locked in for you for your trip. Once you're here in the park and you use one of these initial Lightning Lanes, that's going to free you up to book another. Every time you use one, it's going to free you to book another, and you won't have to worry about those tiers when you're here at the park. Those tiers are only for when you're pre-booking the rides before your visit. That is pretty much all we know so far with Lightning Lane. That said, as soon as we get more details, we'll be providing more videos like this for you. And when the service rolls out, we're going to be making a ton of videos showing you every aspect of planning and strategy. So if you want to see those videos, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring that bell. That way you'll be notified as soon as they come out. Next up, I do want to talk about what's going to happen for international guests. Now, I want everyone to know that what I'm sharing right now, we have not heard directly from Disney. I've reached out to them. We have not heard back. What we're reporting to you here is what we've heard from our various contacts, including travel professionals, as well as what other Disney news sites have reported. It appears that international guests from most international countries will not be able to purchase or make advanced selections using the new Lightning Lane service until they reach United States soil. There is an exception to that, it appears. It seems that Disney has already worked things out to allow our Canadian friends to use the system before they arrive, but so far, for everyone else, Disney is still working on it. It seems that the issue is a legal one pertaining to purchasing things from an app like My Disney Experience and doing that from outside of the United States. I'm sure that Disney is feverishly working on workarounds for this or figuring out how those of you visiting from international countries are going to be able to use this service in advance. And I would expect that we're going to hear some official news from Disney on that very soon. So I know it's a little scary, it's a little frustrating if you're coming from an international country, you're worried you're not going to get the jump on rides that everyone else does, but rest assured there are probably going to be workarounds, and I imagine Disney is working on an official solution right now. Next up, let's talk about that virtual queue system, because as I mentioned before, in the initial days of this attraction being open, you are going to have to use the virtual queue to book what is called a virtual boarding group. If you've used this system before to ride Rise of the Resistance, Tron, or Guardians of the Galaxy, you probably already know how this works, but there is one little difference I've noticed that we're going to talk about in just a little bit. If you haven't used that before, I'm going to take you through how you do it. Starting at 7 o'clock a.m. in the morning and then again at 1 o'clock p.m. in the afternoon, Disney is going to make the virtual queue for Tiana's Bayou Adventure available. You'll find this in the My Disney Experience app, just like you did Disney Genie. You're going to see a button for virtual queues. Go ahead and tap on that. If Magic Kingdom is not already selected, select it. And then you'll probably see multiple virtual queues, one for Tron, one for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. We're going to choose Tiana's. Initially, it's going to show you the members of your party that are currently eligible to join a virtual boarding group. This is going to be the folks that are connected to you through My Disney Experience that have access to the park on the day of your visit. If you have people using an annual pass, or if they're using a ticket that requires park pass reservations, they are going to have a park pass. Once again, we're playing the waiting game until 7 o'clock on the dot. Important note, if you're trying to use this and Disney Genie Plus, you can have more than one person doing this at the same time. So if you've got multiple folks linked to your My Disney Experience and they're linked to you as well, everybody can use their own account to try to do their part of the operation. So I have one person focused on the virtual queue and someone else focused on that first Disney Genie Plus Lightning Lane. You can also use the same account on multiple devices if that's your only option. So a little bit before 7 a.m., you see that little button down there that says refresh? You're just going to start tapping on that button like a crazy person and just keep going. Once it hits 7 on the dot, that button is going to turn into a button to join the virtual queue, and it's going to stay in exactly the same spot. So don't miss a beat. Just keep tapping in that same spot. And with any luck, you're going to be able to get a great virtual boarding group for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. If they do give you a time estimate, do note that's probably not going to be terribly accurate. So you're going to want to keep up with what virtual boarding group is being called throughout the day to make sure you don't miss your chance to ride. I do have good news though. If you do miss your window, it does seem that they're being a little bit flexible. Just be nice to the cast members. Over at Tron, you might not be so lucky, but here at Tiana's, so far, they're being pretty flexible with it. If you weren't successful for a 7 a.m. drop, you can try again at 1 p.m. Historically, 1 p.m. has been a little bit easier to grab than the first morning drop, so hopefully that'll continue here with Tiana's. We were able to get a 7 a.m. drop yesterday, and today I'm going to try for the 1 p.m., but I want to talk a little bit about how you qualify for that 1 p.m. drop because it's a little bit different. Historically, in order to try for 1 p.m., you would have to have physically tapped in at least once into the park where the ride is located. So if you wanted to try for Guardians at 1, you had to tap in at Epcot before 1. You could leave Epcot, you could go get lunch somewhere else, and at 1 o'clock you could try for that virtual boarding group for Guardians from elsewhere, but you did have to tap in at least once to qualify. For Tiana's, the rules look a little bit different. I've called Disney and asked them, and the person I spoke to confirmed it. It seems that for Tiana's, at least for right now, you have to physically be located inside Magic Kingdom in order to qualify for that 1 p.m. drop. We're going to test this out because I'm actually about to go over to Animal Kingdom. So we're going to see, is it going to let me try for that 1 p.m. slot from Animal Kingdom since I've already tapped in here at Magic Kingdom? We're going to find out in just a little bit. Before we go though, I do want to mention you can only get one virtual boarding group per day. You can also only get one Genie Plus Lightning Lane per day. So at present, the most you can ride this attraction is going to be twice in one day. That will of course change once the standby queue opens, because then you can just get in the standby queue and ride again and again to your heart's content. Another important thing to know is that as of right now, you cannot ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure during extended evening hours, and it's not currently listed in the attractions that are going to be available during the coming after hours events like Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party and Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. We will keep an eye on that and see if that changes, and we'll let you know if it does. But for right now, you can only ride this attraction during regular park hours. Of course, it's also not available during early entry. That's because early entry is exclusive to Tomorrowland and Fantasyland, and this attraction is over here in Frontierland. Well, I think that covers all the basics of riding this attraction when you come here. Right now, let's head over to Animal Kingdom to test out this last piece of the plan and see if we're able to book that virtual 1 p.m. drop. And after we're done with that, we're going to take you on an amazing ride, because we have had the pleasure of riding this attraction a dozen times now. We have filmed it from every possible angle, and we're going to share with you our supercut of the ride through of Tiana's Bayou Adventure. So if you want to see that, stick around. If not, after we talk about these virtual queues, you're probably going to want to cut out so you don't see any spoilers. Let's head over to Animal Kingdom. We have arrived at my favorite park in all of Walt Disney World, Animal Kingdom. My friends, it is really crazy hot out here today. Whew. Summer is here with a vengeance, but I have some good news to report, which is as soon as we parked here at Animal Kingdom, I checked the app and it said that both Eric and I were eligible to join the virtual queue, which said to me that probably we were not going to have a problem because we had tapped in at Magic Kingdom. That made us eligible for the 1 p.m. drop for the virtual queue. And even though now we're here at Animal Kingdom, I felt like when I saw that, we were going to be able to join. In order to make sure I didn't forget to join that virtual queue, however, I did set myself a silent alarm. I always recommend doing that. Whenever you've got to remind yourself to do something at a specific time here at Walt Disney World, trust me, there's a lot going on. You don't know where you're going to be at that moment or what your mind is going to be focused on. So set yourself an alarm. I like to make mine silent. So I put the sound to none, and then I make sure I set some sort of a haptic, so like a vibration. That way, if I'm in a show or on a ride, I'm not going to disturb everyone around me. I also like to make it about 5 minutes early. That's going to give me time, if I'm in the middle of something, to kind of get somewhere where I have a little bit of shade, a little bit of quiet, and I'm able to try for that virtual queue. And just like I said before, I tapped like a crazy person on that refresh button until it became a join virtual queue button, and voila. We now have an afternoon virtual queue for Tiana's Bayou Adventure, even though we are clear across Walt Disney World at Animal Kingdom. Well, that pretty much covers all the different ways we know about right now that you're going to be able to ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure no matter what time you're here. If you do have more questions specifically about the new Lightning Lane system that's rolling out, I'd recommend subscribe to our channel here, ring that bell so you'll be notified when those videos come out. But you also might want to consider heading over to our Patreon community, patreon.com/earscouts. We're definitely going to be having a lot of material over there. In fact, sometimes we're going to be having some live Q&As there to help people get ready for that new system when it rolls out on July 24th. I also want to take a moment to thank all of you who are already Patreon members. Thank you so much for supporting what we do here at Ear Scouts. Videos like this would not be possible without your help, so thank you for being part of that Patreon family. I also want to thank all of you for watching, and I want to warn you, as soon as I finish this next little segment, we are going to head back to Magic Kingdom, and we're going to have some spoilers. We're going to show you the full queue and the ride through of Tiana's Bayou Adventure. It is such a gorgeous ride, and I'm going to do my best to do it justice, but trust me, nothing can do this ride justice. This is one of those you just really have to experience in person, but we're going to do our best. Before we go though, if you enjoyed this video, if it helped you to plan your next trip to Walt Disney World, help us out by giving it a like, subscribing to our channel, and ringing that bell. That way you'll be notified whenever new videos like this come out. Until next time, don't forget to think happy thoughts, everybody. We'll see you again real soon. Now let's go ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
The musicians love hard.
You don't have far to go. Tell the people Mama told you so.
Oh dear.
Tiana wasn't kidding, y'all. This Zydeco man she found can play.
We'll ask them to join the band for sure. I hope they all come to the party to play. But let's explore a bit more.
Who's this?
Unusual places hide unusual talent. Don't you say this time I get you back to Santa. Now let's get you to the party. You'll get there in no time. Now, be careful with our names, you fast boy, you.